Do you know somebody going through a divorce and they're worried about their home ownership options after everything's all said and done? Well, this week on the Mortgage Strategy Show, I sit down with Dave Scott and we talk about all the different options that might be available that you don't know about. Also, we have our free guide. Go to adamsacademy.ca. We'll give you our free guide. Use promo code CLIENT and learn all the tips and tricks you need to know.
Scott, I'm with Adam Walker, Walker Mortgages. I never thought we'd do a show on this, us, pretending to be therapists and helping out couples. I just never thought we would get this far. I mean, I know our relationship's grown, Adam, but this is getting a little wacky. Come on, let's be honest. But you brought up some great points, and I want to talk about this because last month off air, we were talking about homeowners and when they get divorced and what options they have. And I just went, yeah, you're done. It's over. You might as well kiss that credit rating goodbye, and you're like, no, wait. And my wife and I are fine. Don't worry, folks.
Yes, I wanted to preface that up front. Like, neither one of us.
I was going to say.
We're not there.
And as far as I know, Kim's going to stick it out. That's what I hear on the street. So with Adam, but that's good. But you brought up some great points about this. And a lot of our friends, you and I talked about this, are been going through divorces. Mm-hmm. Life's changing. The pandemic, everything changed.
Yeah.
Different reality. So how can you help a couple? Because I don't understand.
It's funny. Like I started in mortgages a year ago, and one of the things I wanted to do was reach out to all my friends, whether you're on Facebook, through text messages everywhere, and say, hey, do you know anybody looking to buy, sell, invest, any first-time home buyers? And I guess now that I'm no longer 26 and I'm in my 40s now, my friends are no longer first-time home buyers, but they're going through divorce, right? So, and back when I was with the bank, like I said, I've been with the bank a long time. You're going through a divorce. That means your credit's going to suck. You're going to have to rent. You're going to have to uproot your family. There's not a lot of options. Oh, well, right. We're in tough. And now since I've been on the broker side and we're working with a lot of agents, and I've got more and more of these clients coming to me saying, hey, what are my options? There's a lot of options out there that I never would have known were available. Things like a spousal buyout, right? So there's an option if husband and wife own their house and one's going to stay in the house and the other one's going to move on. We can do a buyout where we can refinance. It's not a refinance, but we can do what's called a spousal buyout, where you can take up to 95% of the equity out of that house to buy out this spouse, divide up your assets, and move on and go forward and coming up with a solution. So, maybe you're going through this separation. Maybe you got kids that are in a school district and they're already going to, mom and dad are no longer going to be together and they're going to be uprooted. And this is going to be a hard time. And to make it even worse, now you're going to have to leave your friends. Maybe you're going to have to leave your school. Let's make it easier. And we've got options where you can stay in that house. We can keep the kids in that house, right? And it does take some working together. But there's definitely options that are there that I didn't know were available, 2 years ago.
So basically what you're saying is they can take that equity that they've built in that home and use it sort of, I guess they both can use it really. I mean, if one's moving on to other things, they can use that equity too. I never would have thought about that. That's a great idea.
It's something I never would have thought about, right? Like, it wasn't an option. We couldn't do these things with the bank. These are options that are available. We have different lenders with different programs. So there's a lot of different options. The other thing is we do a lot of stuff where we look at the deal up front, right? So if we're going through that spousal, separation, and we've got that separation, we're kind of drawing it up. We're kind of looking to see what are my options in terms of, and a lot of the support and the child support, there's different tables that those go by. But it's all agreed on again eventually, right? So rather than just saying, it's over, we're both going to be left after this. We're going to have to rent, I want this much money up front and this much money over time and working those out is we look at these numbers and we've got some calculators that we can look at and say, if we maybe lower that buyout a little bit more and increase the monthly payment, or maybe vice versa, depending on how it's going, we can leave both parties in a position where they can have home ownership after they go through this separation. So like I said, that's a lot better situation than, both of us are stuck paying rent. The kids have got to leave their house.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, if you're suddenly just a single family income and you've got a mortgage, everything changes dramatically, right? You've got to sort of refinance, maybe longer term, use the equity. Like, I guess that's what you guys start with, right? Where do you start on this process? Somebody comes to you. What do you do first?
It's looking at solutions both short term and long term, right? So, like we talked about the banks, the A lenders, and there, you got a tiny little box that we need to fit in order to make those work. Sometimes we need to go to alternate lending. Sometimes that credit has taken a little bit of a hit. Sometimes there are some challenges that have come there, and it's about finding a right now solution, right? Like let's
Okay.
find that right now solution versus a long term solution. And maybe in a year we can revisit. Do we need to sell the house, or is there a way that we can stay in this house? Is there a way that we can divide assets equally, right now, and we can still get a mortgage, we can still be homeowners, we can still make this work and still allow some of that equity in that home to grow rather than going off and now we got to go move into a small apartment or move into a rental. And now our opportunity to grow in equity is gone.
I think most times parents want to keep their kids in that home because it's what they know. Maybe their friends are there, like you said, their schools. So that becomes a bit of a big decision too for families
Yeah,
to do what's best, I guess, for the family. Correct?
absolutely. Absolutely.
It's an interesting topic because it's something we don't talk about very often. And you think with such a high divorce rate, um, unfortunately,
Yes.
this is going to happen over and over and over again. Would you, like you said, you might suggest to them maybe wait a year if they can get that equity, they have a little more equity built up. Do a lot of folks, once they hit that stage, just want to sell quickly? Is that sort of split it and go? And
Well,
then you
I
help them
think
find their own homes?
and again, we're not. I'm no longer. I'm not even close to a marriage counselor. But I think a lot of people, like, we want a
Hey,
finality, right? Like we want to
I
come up with
heard
the
that you've been
solution of
right once in a while.
yeah,
I've heard
yes,
Kim's told me. I'm just passing it along, bud. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Kim does believe you once in a while that you are right.
once in a
I
while,
guarantee it.
once
All
in a
right.
while. But and I think the biggest key is we want to get this finalized, right? The longer these things drag out, everybody's heard the story of the only ones that get rich in a divorce are the lawyers, right? So,
Yep.
like let's kind of come up with some solutions. And I think a big thing is a lot of unknowns, right? We're going at this by yourself for the first time, right?
Yeah.
Like and I've got people on both sides of it. They've got a lot of questions. How do I do this? And yesterday I had somebody to run this by. The last time I bought my house, we made this as a joint decision. Now, a lot
Right.
of times we're making this on our own. So it's just having somebody to bounce ideas off of. And that's one of the things that, I think myself and my team, we do really, really well is we're here to answer a lot of those questions. So, you're not going at this alone, and you might not have the same support system you had in the past, but we've got a great team of realtors, a great team of lawyers. We've got, a great team, myself, my underwriters, my team at Walker Mortgages that we have here. We're here to help, right? Like I think that's one of the biggest things is having that support system that you don't have that you maybe felt you had before. We're here to help through those, right? To help build that out.
Do you do an outline of this in your course?
Yeah, so we have that homeownership after divorce course that's on our site. Again, anybody that wants access to it, they're $9.99 on adamsacademy.ca. Use promo code client. You can get access absolutely free. And we walk through a lot of those different scenarios, right? Tax implications. There's a lot of
Yeah.
different things that go through when buying that new house and homeownership after divorce. So we walk through a lot of different options there of how we can help support that. And the big one, like I said, we talk about is the right now solution and how to properly divide those assets so we can set both parties up for home ownership.
So you basically break it all down. You say, somebody comes to you, it's just like when they're maybe applying for their first mortgage. You got to look at everything, the aspects of what the income is, what the payouts are, sort of how they're going to set this all up. And you guys take that time to do all that with the client, correct?
Yes.
Help them.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, it's just a lot of unknowns that we help solve. Right. And how do if you are going through this for the first time, and most that are going through a separation are going through it for the first time, how do you know all the answers? You're just not
Right.
going to know. Like I said, I was in this for 17 years. I was with the bank the entire time. I thought I knew all the solutions, right? Like, and it's very limited. Now that I'm on this side as a mortgage agent, there's a lot more opportunities, and I have a much better understanding of what we can do, and drawing up a plan to help support through this.
And not to dwell on it, but I mean, at that point too, it's such an emotional trauma, and
Hmm.
it's hard to make financial decisions in that moment. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely,
you're just,
absolutely.
like you said, you guys are sitting there going, "Hey, just talk to us and we'll see what we can do." There's always a solution. For Walker Mortgages will help you out, that's for sure. Anything else you want to add? Because this is an interesting topic, but there's, like you said, about the taxes, the property taxes. There's all these other issues that are going to pile up in front of you all of a sudden, especially if the other person in your relationship had been doing all those, right? It's a whole new learning curve.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what I say. Like the biggest thing is we've got a team here to support through it, right? Whether it's whether we're your starting point, maybe you're already working with a realtor, maybe you're already working with a divorce lawyer. If you have none of those in place already, we've got a team here to support you, and we can help you through these different options. And worst case scenario, even if you're in this situation where you think, well, I just want this done, and I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. We just want to work our way out of it. Let's. And I don't even think I don't care. I'm going to rent the house. Maybe we have an option, right? Like
Yeah.
you're a much better chance of maybe there are options for you that you didn't think existed. Maybe you've gone into your bank and the bank said, sorry, there's no options here. And I was that guy. We were that team in the bank. We used to tell everybody all the time, no, there's no options, right? There's no options for you. This is the way it is because you don't fit within that small box that the bank has. There's way more options out there for you. Just chat, right? Like let's sit down. There's no obligation. There's no cost. Let's just chat and see if there's any options for you.
Great show today. I really appreciate you bringing up this scenario because I didn't think about it, to be honest with you. And I've been married 30 years, going to go for another 30, I guess. But I mean, this is kind of the type of thing that maybe you want to pass this information on to relatives or family, friends. Like you said, there's always somebody that's, going through this tough time and they need that advice.
Absolutely. If you're listening to this and this doesn't apply to you, you probably have somebody in your life that it does, right? Feel free to share this, pass it along, and it can definitely help somebody out. And you're not losing that house.
What was the website again?
adamsacademy.ca. You can you can get access to my course there. You can book a meeting with me directly right from that site. adamwalkermortgages.com. Again, same thing. You can book a link right there to book an appointment with me, and we can run through some options.
You guys are pretty busy, I bet, with the sun out and all the people around, eh?
It's been really busy. Yeah, it's been a really good month. Things are starting to heat up and we're going. So
All right. Take care. Talk to you next month.
thanks, Dave.